scholars of Islam, has been called the Imam al-Akbar, the greatest one, the greatest Imam of Islam. This Imam, his name is An-Nu'man ibn Thabit, ibn Nu'man ibn Marzaban. That's his name. He was born in Kufa, but his grandfather was born in Kabul, Afghanistan. His grandfather met Imam Ali, karamallahu wajhu, while his father was a young man, young child. Imam Ali, karamallahu wajhu, alayhi salam, radallahu anhu, made dua for him and for his progeny. Al-Kufa is the city that built by the Muslims. When Muslims came to Iraq, built Kufa. For it was not built before Muslims have arrived to Iraq. And I said before, in Kufa, you have Imam Ali, karamallahu wajhu. You have Ibn Mas'ud, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radallahu anhu, and other companions. The youngest of the companions were there is Anas ibn Malik. And Anas ibn Malik was the servant of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Was always with the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When Imam Abu Hanifa met some of the Sahaba radallahu alayhim, but that make him a tabi'i, the generation that come after the companions. As I said last week, most of the Muslim scholars, great Muslim scholars, most of them, they were non-Arabs. Like Imam al-Hasan al-Basri was not an Arab. Makhul, the great Muslim scholar, was not an Arab. Al-Sha'bi, those were the scholars who were non-Arabs, but they came and studied Arabic. They grew up speaking Arabic. They memorized the Quran. They memorize hadith, become specialized in one area of fiqh or aqidah or creed. But Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah was born for a very wealthy family. His family was dealing, or they sell fabric and silk. Well, Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, grew up in the market, selling things. And that later will explain to you, will explain to all of us, how Imam Abu Hanifa madhab become very good in biyu', the best madhab, dealing with trade and buying and selling. And most of this Islamic finance and so forth business based on Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah. For Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, considered the Imam of Madrasat al-Kufa, the school of Kufa in fiqh, which is based on the, okay, now, you said that you have to memorize things in case if you lost the slides. Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he established the system of fiqh that based on something called مدرسة الرأي. What is مدرسة الرأي? It's the school of thought that based on analysis. It goes with text, Quran and Sunnah, but do go deep analysis because of the following issues. That this school of thought has emerged in part of the Umayyad period and Abbasi period. Now Abu Hanifa rahimahullah started in the Umayyad and died during the Abbasi time. The Muslims' world have increased, spread. But the Sahaba radiallahu alayhim have moved to different parts of the world. As I said last week, Umar radiallahu anhu kept the first line of Sahaba with him. He wanted to consult with them. Then during Uthman radiallahu anhu, they started moving around. And then after Uthman radiallahu anhu, the Sahaba all over the Muslim world. Now, Imam Abu Hanifa was born in year 80 Hijri. And he died in year 150. How old was he when he died? 70. Hijri calendar. He died at the age of 68. Solar calendar. You know that one now? You know this? Because every 33 years, you have 1 year. Extra in Hijri, minus in solar system. Rahimahullah, as I said, he was born into this wealthy family. And somebody might ask me, why Abu Hanifa called Abu Hanifa? If his name is Nu'man ibn Thabit or Nu'man ibn Marzaban, what does this Abu Hanifa come from? It was called Abu Hanifa because the bottle of ink called Hanifa. And therefore people say he was so much in knowledge, like father of knowledge. So much attached to knowledge, like always writing and studying. Or Hanifa came from a person who stay upright, from a Hanifiyya. That's his nickname, is Abu Hanifa. And there's something in the Islamic world, people have name and nickname. You know that. You call somebody nickname because there's an opinion that's not as strong that he has a daughter named Hanifa. They will call Abu Hanifa. But there's two other opinions is more correct. Now, Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, was very smart young man in business. You can go to the next. I said all of that. Okay, good. He was born in business. There is a man by the name of Sha'bi. Al-Sha'bi is a tabi'i who made 500 companions. Al-Sha'bi is the reason that Abu Hanifa rahimahullah went to fiqh. But Imam Al-Sha'bi rahimahullah is one of the greatest Muslim scholars. And he has, I'm not going to, if I talk about Sha'bi, I'm not going to talk about Abu Hanifa. Let me just stop this. Sha'bi is a great scholar. He saw in Imam Abu Hanifa a project of a scholar. He met him as a young man. He said to him, على من تختلف يا غلام. Oh young man, which scholars where do you go for studying? Where are you studying? He said, I'm not studying anything, I'm studying the market. He said, no, I want you to study Islam, Sharia, because you're going to make a great scholar. And here, I want us to reflect on this point. There's many young people in the Adams Center in America. They need somebody to encourage them in the scholarship and the study of Islam. Alhamdulillah, there's many institutions now does that. But there's certain aspect of individual that you think that they will do well. Alhamdulillah, we have good doctors, engineers, lawyers. You need also good scholars. For Sha'bi, and by the way, the best teacher, when the student become better than them, not less. When the student become better than the teacher is a very good teacher. They have to excel, become better than their teacher. And the teacher should be happy and celebrate that, not feel jealous or competition. Now, Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, as a young man, he decided to go to study fiqh. For he looked which part of Sharia, which science he should study. And by the way, I'm not following all of it, but keep it there. So I'm talking from my memory. He looked, should he specialize in language? Should he specialize in theology, kalam? Or should he specialize in hadith? Or he started, Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, started with ilm al-kalam, with theology. And he became amazing in it. And he has halaqa in ilm al-kalam, in theology and aqidah. In the same masjid, he had this halaqa in the corner of Abu Hanifa of al-kalam, and then the halaqa of Hammad. Imam Hammad, rahimahullah, has this halaqa, and a woman came and asked Imam Abu Hanifa a question. She asked him, she said, I want to ask you, if a woman get divorced in her monthly period, what she should do? Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah specialized in kalam. His sheikh, the time was not his sheikh, Hammad ibn Abi Sulaiman. Hammad ibn Sulaiman, he's a scholar, studied with the man named Ibrahim al-Nakhai. Ibrahim al-Nakhai. Ibrahim al-Nakhai. Ibrahim al-Nakhai rahimahullah, one of the greatest scholars of Islam as well. Ibrahim al-Nakhai. And if I go in Ibrahim al-Nakhai and al-Sha'bi, we're not going to finish the seerah of Imam Abu Hanifa for 1 hour. For he said to the woman he asked him, he said, go and ask Hammad, Sheikh Hammad. And whenever he answers you, come and tell me. I want to learn. And she went and asked him and gave her the opinion. Because I'm not going to go to the fiqh, the talaq bid'i, talaq sunni, the bid'a talaq and sunnah talaq. Talaq takes place in wrong time, and the place talaq takes on the right time. Right time meaning fiqh-wise. Now, when she came back with the answer, Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah said, that's it. Guys, class is over. Tell the people in the class. All of us are going to join the halaqa and the class of the Imam Hammad ibn Abi Sulaiman. Going to go to Hammad ibn Sulaiman. Sheikh Hammad, Imam Hammad ibn Sulaiman, immediately realized that Abu Hanifa rahimahullah is sharp. He got it quickly. He said to his student, no one sit next to me other than Abu Hanifa here, on my right. I want this man to be sitting here. He became the best student of Hammad ibn Abi Sulaiman. To the extent that Imam Abu Hanifa becomes so much in understanding fiqh and understanding the masail, which is the questions, and answering questions in fiqh, some people suggested to him, said, why didn't you have your own halaqah? Your sheikh have halaqah, make another halaqah for us. Sound familiar? Have your own halaqah. For he decided to do his own halaqah. But when he went to the masjid, Imam Abu Hanifa said, no, this is not right. This is not right. I'm not going to do my own halaqah. I'm going to sit with my sheikh. I'm going to stay with him until he dies. I'm going to continue his student until he gave me permission to teach. Subhanallah, that day, Imam Hamad, rahimahullah, said to Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, I wanted to teach my class coming 2 months because a relative of mine have died and is far from here, and I'm in charge of their wasiyah, of their money, inheritance. I have to go and distribute the inheritance and be there with them. Look, Allah gave him the place to teach, to sit in the same chair of his sheikh without having his own halaqah. We have something in fiqh which says, من استعجل شيء قبل أوانه عوقب بحرمانه. Whoever wants to seek something before the time comes, then the punishment for them will be deprived from it. You will not get it. But he, subhanAllah, he wanted to do it, then he changed his mind. He said, no, wafa, loyalty, to stay with my sheikh. Hamad, okay, good. You can leave it there. Imam Hamad, rahimahullah, was absent for 2 months. In this time, Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, was asked 60 questions. Some of them brand new questions. You never heard them from Imam Hamad. And then he started answering the questions, but he recording his answers. He recording his answers. When his sheikh came back, he showed him the 60 answers. His sheikh agreed in 40, and disagreed on the 20. Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah said that's the reason I need to stay with him. I have to continue to learn from him. Now, Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he stayed with Imam Hamad 18 years. 18 years studying with him. That means what? He went to high school, university, master's degree, PhD. He was one scholar. When Imam Hamad, rahimahullah, died, Imam Abu Hanifa took over. Become the faqih of Kufa. I want to talk a little bit about his personality. Now, what kind of person was he? First of all, in his look, he was a handsome man. Not too short, not too tall, not too short. Well dressed, dressed nicely. Well perfumed. Nice perfume. Because he come from what? He's wealthy. He never left his business. He's doing his business and teaching at the same time. So he was well dressed. What he used to do in his home, tahajjud every night. Never missed tahajjud. Abu Hanifa, unless he's sick. Sometimes they say he do Khatm al-Quran in one night in Salah. And sometimes he do Qiyam with one ayah and he cried the whole night. One time he made a Qiyam with ayah, بل الساعة موعدهم والساعة أدهى وأمر. He repeated this ayah all night. He was so kind and gentle with everybody. In his relationship with his family, like follow the sunnah, come help in the household. And relationship in the marketplace, Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, was a smart businessman. He made good money. You know what he used to do every year? Every year, when he closing his books, make sure that he have enough money for his family for a year. The rest of profits used to give it to scholars and students who are in need. And he used to tell his student, this is not my money. This is your money, made money. Allah trusted me with it. And I'm sharing the money, your money with you. Don't think that I'm doing you a favor. He used to help the student, give a scholarship, so people can continue to study with him. And his peer, who don't have money, scholars, used to help him. We should show you the importance of business and self-sufficiency. That's why he did not get paid by anybody else. Now, there's a story that I told Muhammad Samantha said in the class, how gentle he was in da'wah, in calling people to Islam. He has a neighbor, a shoemaker, or fixed shoe, called iskafi in Arabic. This neighbor, every night, he used to buy food that he cooked and bring, a'udhu billah, alcohol with it. And you go to the roof of his home, so you get fresh air. He will eat and drink and sing all night, singing. And he repeat the same verse in Arabic poetry. أضاعوني وأي فتى أضاعوا. They wasted me, I'm a young man, they could have used me, blah, blah, blah. He said that. Every night, Abu Hanifa during tahajjud, hear this man singing all night. One day he didn't sing, second day he didn't sing, third day he didn't sing. No singing. Abu Hanifa said something wrong. He went to the neighbor and asked, what is the matter? They said the police have taken him, been arrested. He's been arrested. Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, dressed as well, like always he does, get into his horse and goes to the governor. Said to him, can you release my neighbor? Like, I want to intercede in his behalf. He making noise and everything, but let him go. The governor said, because you, Abu Hanifa, came to me, rahimahullah, anyone who made noise that night, I release all of them because of you. Then Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, taking his neighbor with him. He said, no. And then he said to him, until he reached the door of his home, he said, did we waste you? Have I not taken care of you? Because his poetry is saying, no one take care of me, every night. He said that only. He said, we have wasted you, we have neglected you. He said, no, you took care of me. I swear by Allah, I will never drink alcohol again. This is my tawbah here. You're such an amazing man. That's it. I'm not going to do it again. That shows you Abu Hanifa, how he dealt with his neighbors. It's not like, calling them names and, going to go to Jahannam. Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, one of his things about him in his personality, in his teaching style, methodology, how he teach. He taught his student to think of themselves. He gave them the skill set. And he will raise a question. Said, what do you think about this issue? That after the student studied the basic fiqh and sharia and guidelines of thinking, he will, rahimahullah, will put the question before them. And then his scholar, the student would debate the issue. Had a shuratic approach, consultation approach. He will put the question before them, and he was asked them, what do you think? And as they debate the issue, Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah will be listening. If you feel like you need to engage because they misunderstood the methodology or made a mistake in the methodology, he will correct it. And after they come with the opinion, Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah agreed with it, will tell them, good job. If you disagree with it, say you forgot to do this, you forgot to do that. Because he's preparing each one of them to become a scholar. His method would not spoon feeding. It's critical thinking. Critical thinking. And that's why his school grew fast, rahimahullah, because of the numbers of people who were trained under him. He was training the scholars. Now, one of the most important aspects of his approach that Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, because of the spread of Islam and because of emerging issues, he created a system by which you examine the issue and you come with an opinion based on that system. What's the system? First, Quran. Every matter, you look to the Quran first. What Allah says about it. And what it means, this ayah, regarding this issue. Which require understanding language. It requires understanding context. Understanding what's happening in the marketplace, what happened in social life, what are the trends, what the social norms were, in order to answer the questions. For he believed in text and context, as I said before in the beginning of this series, the introduction last week. You have to know the text and context and the application of text to the context. Otherwise, a person cannot be faqih. Anybody come to America just last year, I don't care what they study in university, they should not, or just arrived, should not give fatwa until they ask. Tell me a little bit about this, what this community is. Who praying here? You know, what kind of environment? And so, study American community first before you give fatwa, especially in mu'amalat, in dealings. You have to wait. Salah is the same. Siyam is the same. Even Siyam and Salah, like Tahara. Tahara in American prison system, different than Tahara in a Muslim prison system. Get my point? I used to do chaplaincy in prison. Tahara in American hospitals, maybe a little bit, there's a difference of how to deal with the circumstances here in hospitals than is it in Middle East. I was not telling you the details. I just called the fiqh in American context. Understand American context. Now, therefore it is not Quran, then the Sunnah of Rasulullah. Go to the Sunnah of Rasulullah. The Quran is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Sunnah is application of the Quran because Rasulullah was a walking Sunnah, a walking Quran. The Sunnah of Rasulullah was walking Quran. يعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة. Then he goes to the opinions of the companions. أقوال الصحابة رضي الله عنهم رحمه الله. He goes to the Sahaba رضي الله عليهم. He see what Abdullah ibn Mas'ud رضي الله عنه have said. What is the rai or the opinion of Imam Ali كرم الله وجهه? If he goes to the opinion of the Sahaba. If the one of the Sahaba says something about this issue, you go with their opinion. Then after that, he goes to something called qiyas. What is qiyas? Qiyas is an analogy to analyze a matter that there's a text on it with a matter there's no text on it because of commonality between them. القياس قياس علة فيها نص قياس مسألة فيها نص على مسألة ليس فيها نص لعلة جامعة بين المقيس والمقاس عليه in Arabic. That a matter has a text on it, but another matter has similar nature, but there's no text mentioned by name, by describing it as the same. But the nature is the same, but not naming it. Like what? What hadith talk about marijuana? You have any hadith talk about marijuana? Or ayah in the Quran? Why are you looking at me? Yes, hadith. Do you know any hadith talk about marijuana? It's haram. Don't debate me on this issue. Okay? Right, طيب. Hard drugs, cocaine, other, is halal? It's haram. Have the same effect of what? Of alcohol. Therefore, it's haram. Therefore, this qiyas, there's not named by name, but the nature is the same. كل مسكر ومفتر حرام. Now he comes with something called istihsan. Istihsan. What is istihsan? Istihsan, it is form of qiyas, but preferred qiyas. What do I mean by that? There's two matters have same nature, analogy, but you don't go with this analogy because there's a text, make this opinion better than that opinion, or because of customs, or because of ijma. Let me give you an example. It is not permissible to sell something that you don't have yet. You know that? But istihsanan, they made an exceptions of paying a builder in advance to build a house of yours. You have not built the house yet. Developer, you pay them. You ask somebody to customize a computer for you. You didn't have it yet. Called istisna. You pay them in advance. You didn't have it yet because you're going to put labor. You want at least down payment. You get my point? For this, Muslims, they come to say it become a common and agreed upon, that's fine to do that. That's called istihsan. Now, I'm not going to teach Usul al-Fiqh in this class, just giving you, because if I do that, I'm going to go to Maliki, we do the same thing, but just give you a general idea. Then, urf, the customs of the land. What is urf? Urf is established customs that does not contradict Sharia. There's American urf or no? There's American customs. Some of this urf is legal legalize urf. You hear what I'm saying? Like driving on the right side of the road or left or right side of the road? Huh? You go to England, where do you drive? It's a law and it's the customs. For example, if somebody says to someone, I'll pay you the mahar that's known in this village, which is the dowry. If the dowry been established in a particular amount of money, then it's been known. It's called urf. This is one of the biggest areas that American Muslims have to study. It happened that I'm doing research on it because of the inheritance. That's another discussion. One day we'll give a class here. I gave it in the main center about the inheritance and the impact of urf in understanding the inheritance. Now, Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah has students. I'm going to talk about his student. They're going to talk about the tests he had in life with rulers in this remaining time, and give you time to ask questions. The top of his student are three, but one known two students. One of them Abu Yusuf, one of them Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani. Let me tell you just a little bit of story about Abu Yusuf. Do you have time for that? I think we have time. We tell the story about Abu Yusuf. Abu Yusuf, rahimahullah, was a young man. His family was very poor. Very poor. And they used to send him to work for a tailor, khayyat, tailor. And that tailor will pay him 1 dirham a day. But he's starting skipping work, going to Imam Abu Hanifa class, and become engaging, asking questions as a young man. Abu Hanifa said, this boy is going to be something. Then his father and mother discovered that his no dirham is not coming. Boy, where are you going? He said, I'm going to the masjid to study. No, we need the money. Forget about this. You need to drop the school. Go to... One day, his father came and grabbed him from the masjid, Kufa. He said to Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, you are really brainwashing this child of mine. We need the money. Stop it. Abu Hanifa said to him, what's the problem? He wants to study. He said, no, we need the money. He said, how much is it? Abu Hanifa was a wealthy man. He said, I'll give you 2 dirhams. Not 1 dirham, 2 dirhams. Keep him with me. I'll pay you. I want this young man. I want him. Remember, Al-Sha'bi invested on whom? Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, directed him to study fiqh. And Imam Hamad invested in Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah. Now Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, investing in young people. That's how scholarship being created in Islam. People who are visionary. They want this to pass on. For he said to him, I'll pay you. And he said, one day perhaps this son of yours will eat very expensive nuts, like called fusduk. He said one day he will become rich. And by the way, later he became qadi, and he was sitting in a gathering with the Amir al-Mu'mineen, with the Khalifa, and they brought him the expensive nuts to eat. He said to the Khalifa, he said, what is this? He said, this nuts, fusduk and fadus. He said, this is it? Yes. He started laughing. He said, why are you laughing? He said, because Abu Hanifa rahimahullah said to my parents, maybe one day I will eat that. But Abu Yusuf, Abu Hanifa said he would pay him to study. And Abu Yusuf became one of the best students of Imam Abu Hanifa. But let me tell a story about Abu Yusuf a little bit. Abu Yusuf becomes so good in studying, rahimahullah, Imam Abu Yusuf, rahimahullah. One day he get very, very sick. They saw he's gonna die. When Abu Hanifa come to visit him, and he saw him very sick, looked like dying. Abu Hanifa felt so sorry. He invested so much in this young man. And as he was leaving, he made dua for him with shifa. He was leaving, he said, I prepared him to take over my place. So Allah knows who's going to live or not. Imam Abu Yusuf, rahimahullah, become okay, recover. And then he decided, to get dressed to go to the class. Sometimes social media and people go to your head. They said to him, where are you going? He said, I'm going to the class, Abu Hanifa. They said, what are you talking about? Going to Abu Hanifa class? Abu Hanifa just said, rahimahullah, said about you, you are a scholar for your own. Go and have your own halaqah. Forget about Abu Hanifa. Abu Yusuf, rahimahullah, the same thing happened to Imam Abu Hanifa when he thought to go have his own halaqah of Hammad. He entered the masjid and went to the corner and he had his own halaqah. Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, teaching. Abu Yusuf sat there. Abu Hanifa said, he didn't realize that was Abu Yusuf. He said, the qadi there's another qadi used to have a class, but another masjid. He said, did he move his class to this masjid? He said, no. The man who's teaching there is Abu Yusuf. He said, my student, yeah. He doesn't want him to start teaching before he gets a license. That's very important. There's many young people want to become a scholar before they ripe. You don't become a scholar before. Wait. تفقه قبل أن تسود. Have fiqh before you become sayyid, a leader. So he said, one of the students said, go to that man and ask him this following question. To ask him, a man brought his robe, his clothes, to a tailor. And he asked him to make it shorten the long rope to make it short. But the man came to take back his clothes, and the man said, you don't have any clothes with me. This is a question. You don't have any clothes with me. The police came, raided his things, and they found the thobe, the cloth. The question is, should this man, whose clothes been found, should pay the tailor the money for tailing his clothes, shortening it, or not? And if he said to you, you should pay him, say you're wrong. If he said you should not pay him, say you're wrong. And come back to me. He came to him and said, give him the questions. And Abu Yusuf said, I think you should pay him. He said, you're wrong. Abu Yusuf said, no. If he, because he took the clothes, you're right. You should not pay him. He said, you're wrong. Then Abu Yusuf said to him, looked at the man and said, this question not coming from you. You don't look like to know too much. Where did this question come from? He said, come from the Sheikh, Abu Hanifa. So Abu Yusuf went to Abu Hanifa and he wanted to ask a question from the, standing like that. Sheikh, I have a question. Because he's a Sheikh now, he doesn't sit down. Sheikh, I have a question for you. Abu Hanifa ignored him, rahimahullah. I have a question. Abu Hanifa, as if. And he came and sat on his knees next to Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah. He said, I have a question for you. He said, now you can ask your question. Then he asked him the question. Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, said to him, if the man have shortened the cloth, his size, that means you want to take it. But the guy who's not paying him. If shortened the size of the man who gave the clothes, should pay him. Because there's two separate things. He made a mistake, kept the clothes, but still have done labor. Abu Yusuf said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to sit here until I finish this, until Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, died. Then Abu Yusuf became a teacher. Now, the difference between Abu Yusuf and Muhammad Hassan al-Shaybani, rahimahullah, Abu Yusuf became a judge. And Muhammad Hassan al-Shaybani, rahimahullah, Imam, is become the person who have really wrote the books. Matter of fact, I want just to tell you that the Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, have created an environment of scholarship. Himself have not written any book, except one book we know in Aqidah, called Al-Fiqh Al-Akbar, the greatest fiqh. But the book of fiqh, not written by him, written by his student. Okay. Some of the student, Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, that you know, but you don't realize they were his student. Have you heard of Imam al-Maturidi? Al-Maturidi. Maturidi is Hanafi, being buried where? Where is his grave? You know? Uzbekistan. I visited the grave of Imam Maturidi, rahimahullah. And Imam al-Sarkhasi. There's a very famous book in Aqidah called Al-Tahawiyah. Imam al-Tahawi, who was Hanafi. Those are the students of Hanafi madhab. Now, what ulama said about Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah? What the testimony of the scholars? Imam Malik, rahimahullah, yes, said if Abu Hanifa were to argue that these pillars is made of gold, he could prove it to you. He said it has sharpness, amazing persuasions, ability to convince someone. Sharp. Imam al-Shafi'i said people are dependent upon Hanifa and fiqh. We said in Arabic, al-nas fil fiqh iyalun ala Abi Hanifa. Imam ibn Hanbal, he said, he was from the people of knowledge, piety, and deep understanding. Now, the other Imam Sufyan al-Thawri, he said, Abu Hanifa was a man of knowledge and wara', piety. Now, I want to end this class by talking a little bit about the test happened to him. Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, because he was self-sufficient, refused to take money from the government. Refused. Any gift they give him, he give it away or refuse. One time, a Khalifa wanted to trick him and give him like money. He said, oh Khalifa, I'm from Kufa and Baghdad. If you give me this a lot of money, someone is going to steal it from me. Keep it with you. If I need it, I'll take it from you. You never took it. But in Umayyad time, they want to make him a judge. And he refused. So they decide to punish him by prison him, put him in prison. Abu Habir, during the Umayyad time. And then the Abbasi came. Abu Ja'far al-Mansur insisted for him to become a judge. And he refused to become a judge. He said, I'm not good to become a judge. I'm not good in this. It's not something that I want to do. rather to teach. Because he was producing judges, he produced scholars. He doesn't want to stop that. And then the Khalifa said to him, "You're lying. You're lying." Accused him to lie. And Abu Hanifa said, "You made my case. How can you hire a liar to be a judge? If I'm lying, if lying." He said, "You said I'm lying? Then what is my credit? I don't have credibility to become a judge." But yet he didn't listen. He put him in prison. Some Muslim scholars actually said in the history that Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah actually died in prison. The year 150. Now, two things I want to say, and then I'm going to ask my questions. Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he was a man that, as ulama said, وَلَا نُزَكَّ اللَّهَ أَحَدٍ, built a system of critical thinking, understanding of Islam, based of the important keeping Islam always relevant to issues of the day. But he taught his children to stand up at night and pray tahajjud. He told his students, you have to have integrity and honesty. He told his students that I want you to be in society the first people to serve. Don't have entitlement. That's how he taught his people. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put a lot of barakah, blessing, in his madhab. 800 million people now are Hanafis. 800 millions. This is a Hanafi. I say Allahu Akbar. All Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, and Russia, and Muslim in China, and the Iraq, and some of the Egypt are Hanafis. Syria, all this Hanafi madhab. Turkey, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh. Because Hanafi madhab is spread because of two reasons. Number one, most of judges, they were Hanafis in Umayyad and Abbasis. And during the Khilaf al-Uthmaniyya, Ottoman Empire. In Sudan, for example, if you go to the court, it's Hanafi, family laws. You go outside the court, fatwa is Maliki. But the judicial system is Hanafi because of the Turks. Okay. And there's something important about this, because by understanding that the system being proven in governance, because all of this Fatawa al-Hindiya is one of the richest Fatawa, and then you have books like Ibn Abdin, one of the biggest source of fiqh in Hanafi madhab. My father, rahimahullah, because he was the head of the Council of Muslim Scholars in Sudan, he has to study both. He went to Al-Azhar University, he studied comparative fiqh, but his main madhab was Maliki. When he comes to Sudan, he has to master or to study Hanafi madhab, not mastering it, but to study Hanafi madhab, so that he can be able to know what the judges are saying, because the fatwa is a Maliki. And I want to stop here by saying, rahimahullah, Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, he was a great scholar of integrity and dignity and piety and righteousness and scholarship, and he really helped Muslims today to stay Muslims by teaching people how to live their life as Muslims. Any questions? I just want to say something about, since I talked about Malik next week. His son Hamad, because he's named his son after, Hamad was scholar, Imam Hamad. He named him after his sheikh. When Hamad used to come to Medina, Imam Malik used to open the space for his son to have sit next to him, and he used to ask him what your father said about this issue, what your father said about this issue, because he has so much respect to Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. Either if you want to ask me a question, ask maybe after Isha inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك.